In November of 1942, while Rommel's forces retreated out of Egypt after the Battle of El Alamein, and the Anglo-American forces converged on them from east and west, newly arrived German and Italian formations were trying to shore up the Axis presence in North Africa. The Axis had long abandoned any ambition to hold on to Libya, let alone renew the offensive into Egypt. Its priority was to maintain a bridgehead in Tunisia and to keep the two Allied advances separate and thereby force them to use double the number of supply lines. The German High Command believed that an Tunisian bridgehead was essential to keeping the Allies away from Italy and in keeping Italy in the war. While Field Marshal Montgomery continued the pursuit of Rommel in the east, the joint Allied force advancing from the west was slowed by the mountainous terrain of northwest Africa. In late 1942, the German High Command created an air bridge with the help of the large Messerschmitt Me 323 Gigant or Giant transport aircraft. It often happened that large groups of up to 100 aircraft, together with Juncker's Ju-52s, were organized, which were accompanied by German fighters. These newly arrived Axis forces were thus able to establish a bridgehead well before the Allies reached Tunisia. Yet, the Axis forces did hold advantages. Among them was a small number of the new heavy Tiger tanks, whose 88mm gun was much superior to the Sherman's 75mm gun. Favoring the defenders even more was the terrain. This was no longer war in the desert, but was across mountains and ravines. The Battle of Kasserine Pass was a series of battles that took place in February of 1943 around the Kasserine Pass, a 2-mile wide gap in the Grand Dorsal chain of the Atlas Mountains in central Tunisia. The inexperienced UF forces took heavy losses, which made these engagements the last Axis victories in the North African campaign. On the 23rd of January 1943, the Allied 8th Army took Tripoli, Erwin Rommel's main supply base. Rommel had anticipated this, switching his line of supply to Tunis with the goal of blocking the southern approach to Tunisia from Tripoli. The Moret Line, which the French had built to protect against an Italian attack from Libya, was the main German defense line. Allied troops had already crossed the Atlas Mountains and set up a forward base in Fade. In the foothills on the eastern arm of the mountains, an excellent position to thrust east to the coast split the Axis forces in southern Tunisia from the forces further north and cut the line of supply to Tunis. At this point, there was some argument in the Axis camp about what to do next. All of Tunisia was still under Axis control, and there was little to do until the 8th Army arrived at the Moret Line. So Rommel decided to attack through the Kasserine Pass into the main force of the US 2nd Corps at Tebessa, capturing US supplies, eliminate the Allied ability to attack the coastal corridor linking the Moret Line and Tunis. Rommel's plan was finally accepted by the Comando Supremo in Rome. He was to have the 10th and the 21st Panzer Divisions transferred to his command and attack through the Kasserine and clear the western doorsill. In the early hours of February the 19th, the 21st Panzer Division at Sbeitla was ordered to attack northward through the pass east of Kasserine, and a battle group from the 10th Panzer Division was ordered to concentrate at Sbeitla, where it would be ready to exploit success. During the night, the American positions on the two shoulders overlooking the pass were overrun, and at 8 a.m., German Panzer Grenadiers and Italian infantry started the attack. On the 20th of February, during the opening attack on key American positions on the town of Jebel, the 5th Italian Bersaglieri Regiment made a frontal assault on US positions that lasted most of the morning and finally carried the position, losing the regimental commander in the process. This action cracked open the Allied defenses, opening the road to Tebessa. By midday, the accompanying combined Axis armored units poured through the pass, routing US forces with the 1st Armored Division into one of the first US defeats of the Tunisian campaign. At 1 p.m., Rommel committed 2 battalions from the 10th Panzer Division, which overcame the Allied defense. The US survivors made a disorganized retreat up the western exit from the pass, where the Combat Command B of the US 1st Armored Division was arriving. Rommel had stayed with the main group of the 10th Panzer Division on the route toward Tala, where the 26th Armored Brigade and the remnants of the US 26th Infantry Regiment had dug in on the ridges. If the town fell and the southern of the two roads to Tebessa were cut, the US 9th Infantry Division to the north would be cut off, and Combat Command B of the 1st Armored Division would be trapped between the 10th Panzer Division and its supporting units moving north along the 2nd road. Next day, the front was held mostly by British infantry, with exceptionally strong backing by a unified US and British artillery under the US artillery commander. The British had altogether 36 guns, supported by armored cars. On the morning of February the 22nd, an intense artillery barrage from the massed Allied guns forestalled the resumption of the 10th Panzer Division attack, destroying armor and vehicles and disrupting communications. Under constant fire, the 10th Panzer waited until dark and retired from the battlefield. Overextended and with supplies dwindling, pinned down by Allied artillery and now facing US counterattacks, Rommel realized his strength was spent. With little prospect of further success, Rommel judged that it would be wiser to break off to concentrate in South Tunisia and strike a blow at the 8th Army, catching them off balance while still assembling its forces. He at least had the consolation that he had inflicted heavy losses on his enemy and that the Allied concentrations had been destroyed. On the 23rd of February, a massive American air attack on the pass hastened the German retreat, and by late February the 24th, the pass has been reoccupied by the Allies. This battle was the first major engagement between US and German forces in Africa. The initial handful of American battalions suffered many casualties, and were pushed back over 80 kilometers from their original positions. After the initial reversal, Allied reinforcements with strong artillery support stopped the Axis advance, and an American counterattack recaptured the mountain passes in western Tunisia, defeating the Axis offensive. After the battle, Rommel felt that most US units and commanders had shown their inexperience, losing sight of the broader picture. But Rommel was later impressed with how quickly US commanders came to understand and implement mobile warfare, and also praised the US equipment. Of particular interest to the Germans was the sturdy M3 armored half-track, and for some time after the battle, German units deployed large numbers of captured US vehicles. As a result of lessons learned in this battle, the US Army instituted sweeping changes in unit organization and tactics and replaced some commanders. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and to make sure you don't miss my future work, please make sure you are subscribed to my channel and press the bell notification button. Thank you, and see you in the next video.